gonna die. Go too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at a battle in the Tirpitz on trap. Now, today obviously is a learning from our mistakes video, and it has been a while since we've taken a look at one of these videos, but I had this battle in the Tirpitz last night, maybe, the 24th of August, and I just couldn't shake it off. I had to think about it. So you can see we're on trap. Interesting map. You do see this map in higher tiers, maybe tier 7 and above. Definitely is going to pop up for you. And, you know, there are a number of different strategies. Now, the most, I guess, conventional strategy would be to, you know, group up with your allies and take 2 caps. Preferably, you know, if you want to take C, then that means we're going to take B. Or if we want to take A, then, you know, we'd obviously also take B. That sort of situation. Now, in our video today, we're going to see what can happen when you decide to use the other strategy, and that is dividing your forces and, you know, half going to C and half going A, thereby leaving B wide open. So we'll take a look at that today. Now, in the Tirpitz, and we're on trap. Now, the Tirpitz, obviously, I'm playing it today because I did purchase the Bayern last night, so a little short on credits now, considering as well, just 2 days ago, I also purchased the Tier 9 Russian cruiser. So I'm basically just running out my premium ships in hopes of getting a bunch of money. And that, in fact, does happen at the end of this battle, so that's not too bad at all. But you can see, you know, the team is more or less splitting up right now, right? And I mean, this isn't always a bad play, and it doesn't guarantee your loss either. You know, if you do this sort of maneuver, it depends on a number of things. Most notably, it depends on what the enemy team is going to be doing, and then, you know, on top of that, it depends highly on what your team does once they realize where the enemy team is. Those usually, you know, there's those 2 things that are going to determine whether or not you're going to be able to pull this sort of victory out when you're using this sort of strategy here. Now, obviously, again, I mean, this is random battle, right? So no one really discussed it. I mean, there was talk at the beginning of the game there, but, you know, it's not planned out or anything like that. This is just the way it happened. I mean, in my ship and on my side, I probably could have went to B, or at least, you know, hovered around B to protect it. But, you know, we already have the A point. And I was thinking at this point in time that, you know, things are going pretty good right now. Like, yeah, there's some enemy ships up there at C. It looks like a lot of the enemies are up there at C. We have a few enemies down here at B that we see, like this North Carolina, for example. But we have the point, right? So, and 2, at this point as well, I was thinking, well, maybe I should turn around and head to B. But I did see the enemy North Carolina over there, and I thought that the enemy North Carolina may have been alone. So I decided, no, I'll continue forward and potentially take down that ship. Now, this is my real first mistake. I mean, I definitely should have turned around, went for the B cap zone immediately. It's what I should have done. But instead, again, I decided to come down here at A. Now, you do see we have a number of ally ships down here at A. We've got a cruiser, right? We can see the cruiser here in front of us. We've got a destroyer. We have some battleships in the background as well. So we do have a pretty good force down here at A. And it, you know, given that we already have the point is contested. So we definitely know that there's some sort of enemy ship just sitting, you know, on the outskirts of the point, basically, right on the perimeter, that is. And we just need to, you know, dislodge this player and then move along, and we can go to B. At least that's what I'm thinking. To the north, we do see that the enemies are putting up a bit of a fight up there in the north, right? They've taken down a few of our ships, and some of the allies up there are faltering up there at the north, which is fine, especially in this situation where we already have B. Those folks up there at the north, if they wanted to and if they can, it would be an excellent opportunity for them to circle back around and head into B. You would obviously want to stay on the southern side of the land masses there, so you can use them as cover as you're getting into B, and in that way as well you're getting closer to us down here at A so that we can support you. So that would be a good move. Now, the enemies have just taken C. Our allies up there in the north, they are going to attempt to fight it out. Down here in the south, we've got some mistakes going on down here as well. We can see a number of enemy ships have in fact popped up, right? It's not just the North Carolina. We've got the North Carolina, we have a New Mexico in the background, we have an Thotgor, and I think it's a Molotov is the other cruiser. So there are a number of ships here. Now, again, I mean, we have the point. It's just a matter of pushing them out. So you can see that I'm making my turn, getting ready to go to the north. This is what I want to do because I want to get into B. I figured there were enough allies in this point that we would, that I could leave and those allies would be able to take care of these ships, continue to have the point, and then I can get in there into B and help out with that cap. Because you'll notice we do have a ship in B taking it right now. So that's not too bad. We can see some of the enemy ships here, right, just sort of coming around the little landmass here, the enemy North Carolina. I do, again, have the manual fire control on the secondary armament, so those are going to be coming into play here shortly, which is great. Unfortunately, I did just fire at my allies, so that kind of sucked. Luckily, though, armor piercing didn't do a whole lot of damage, so fantastic. And we can see that the Tashkent there gets right in, launches torpedoes off at the enemy North Carolina, and we don't have to worry about this player anymore, but we do still have one enemy cruiser, the Thotgor. We still have an enemy destroyer, and we can't forget about the enemy New Mexico. There he is there in the background coming for us, right? So these are all things we need to take into consideration. If we look at the mini-map, and based on what we know so far in the battle, the majority of the enemy team is up there at C. So looking at the minimap, you can see that the enemy team is actually pushing in on B right now, so we know that the majority of those ships are grouped up together, and that they are now going to be pushing the B zone. Take a look at the positioning of my team. Terrible, right? Even down here at A, not in a really good position. It would be easy for me to tell you, oh yeah, I'm in a great position, but everyone else is sucking it up. No, I'm not in that great of a position either, right? I mean, I am pushing into B, or at least attempting to push into B, but I don't have any support with me. The majority of my forces who were with me are still in the southern point, still trying to duke it out with those enemies down there, and maybe it would have been smarter for me to stay with them, help finish off those enemies and get them up here. Because what is going to happen is the allies that I have down there at A, they stay down there at A the rest of the match. They don't move. And the entire time what they're doing is they're attempting to kill the remaining enemy ships down there, which consists of an Thotgor and a destroyer and the New Mexico. So they're basically out of the battle now, which really, really sucks. The the allies I had up there in the north, who went to the C cap zone, they are retreating, which is good. They're opening up the distance between themselves and the enemy. The unfortunate part here is that they're retreating in the wrong direction. They're not retreating to B. They're retreating to the fringes of the map where there's nothing going on over there, right? Like, this is domination. It is all about capping the points. There is no reason for you to go way off, off the map like that. There's just no reason. I can't think of a single reason. Even if you are spotted, you are eventually going to get far enough away that you are no longer spotted, and it's at that point in time that you should then be turning your ship into one of the caps to start helping out the team here, right? Very important. So you can see I've been duking it out with this enemy Imagi. I got a few citadels on the Imagi, and I'm attempting, I do want to focus on this player and take this player down, but I am looking around. We're losing A. We have lost A. So my allied ships down there at A, the ones that are remaining, I think it might just be a battleship remaining down there potentially, because the destroyer who was down there is actually with me at this time. There we can see the Tashkent, but we just have the one allied battleship down there, I believe, and that allied battleship has no intention of actually pushing into the cap and taking it back from the enemies. So this is another real big mistake that I see all too often, and it's very, very irritating. This is domination. It is about taking the points. You need to take the points. You can't just sit in the background and fire at the enemies and hope that someone else is going to take the points, especially when you're in a battleship. I think it's Fanhorn, member of the clan. He said, battleships are ships of the line, not ships behind the line, or something there to that effect, which is so true. So true. The battleships have the most armor, they have the biggest guns. Just because they have the biggest range does not automatically mean that they're at the back of the pack. No, they should definitely be at the front, at the front of the line, right? The only ships, in fact, who should be in front of a battleship would be a destroyer, because obviously you want the destroyers out front to do the spotting and to disrupt the enemies with their torpedoes. Your battleships and your cruisers should be on the same line, the same battle line, fighting it out. And that's just not what's happening. You can see again, my allies who were at the north are getting chased down. In fact, one of them just died. And by the placement of the ships where they died, I mean, they all died along that eastern side of the map. Just, awful. We have 4 ships remaining. I'm swinging back down towards A, and I mean, it's already a loss at this point, but this is another mistake that I, personally am making. I should have pressed the advantage at B. I know that there's a Dunkirk there. We still have the Amagi, but at the very least, I could have closed the range with the Dunkirk, maybe got some torpedoes off, maybe killed the player, take B, and then push to A. Now, we're still not going to win it, but at the very least, that would, maybe not allow the enemy to roll over us so hard. But I am heading to the south. I'm heading back down to A, because I am very frustrated with the way that A has been handled. You can see the battleship that we had down here, who was supposed to be protecting the point and defending the point, is actually running away now. Yep, this player is heading off to the eastern side of the map once again to die off in the middle of nowhere where nothing matters. But I'm not going to do the same thing. I'm going to try and get myself into A, and I'm going to try and cap A before we lose, because it is obvious that things have not gone very well at all this battle. I mean, things for me have gone pretty good, up to about 104,000 damage, number of citadels and hits and stuff, so that, that's not too bad. So there we go. Enemy Kagero pops up. And you can see that these are the same ships that we originally faced off against when we were taking the A zone, right? The Kagero is still here, the New Mexico has finally arrived, and the Otago is still floating around. So we still have the exact same ships to deal with here. I'm going to attempt to do something about them. So I managed to dodge all of the torpedoes from the Otago, or Kagero rather. We're going to start lining up some shots here on the enemy New Mexico, trying to get this player gone. Now, New Mexico is firing armor piercing at me, which, is obvious. I mean, it's doing a bunch of damage here, but hopefully, my hope is that I'm going to be able to get in here close enough and be able to torp that New Mexico and get the player gone. We dodged some more torps. Now, those ones were, in fact, from the Otago and not the Kagero, but we do still have both ships remaining, right? We can see that I've targeted the Kagero with my secondary battery, and I'm going to let the secondary batteries work over the Kagero. If the player is stupid enough just to sit there and let my battery shoot at him, well, then I'm going to take him down, and that's just the way it's going to happen. We launched torpedoes off at the enemy Otago. I do not have, or rather I do have torpedoes still on the port side ready for the enemy New Mexico here. So we're going to launch these torpedoes off. You can see I targeted New Mexico with my secondary battery because the Kagero is in front of me, so I wanted to get, as many secondary battery hits as I possibly can. We managed to dodge more torpedoes from the enemy Otago, which is fantastic. We are really going to try and take out this Otago here, and the destroyer, and the enemy New Mexico. So there we go. I get a Confederate and high caliber. My torpedoes managed to hit the enemy New Mexico. Enemy New Mexico is gone. I'm on fire now, and things are not going so well. We're in smoke. This is a smoke that the enemy Kagero laid, so it is disappearing, but at the very least is able to cover me a little. Now, enemy Kagero has more torpedoes on its way, and I'm able to dodge these torpedoes once again. Fantastic. We can see the enemy Otago is beached. I really, really wanted to kill this enemy Otago. We still do have the enemy Kagero to worry about, but again, I'm letting my secondary batteries take, handle that situation, because things aren't going so well right now, and I just wanted to get my guns fired off here. See how much damage I can manage to get done here before I actually die. At this point in time, the enemies have all 3 cap zones. There's no hope for my team whatsoever. I've got torpedoes on the way in. Torpedoes hit me and kill me from the Otago. Shots went out into the enemy Kagero, and at least I managed to take down the enemy Kagero and get its but a flesh wound. So I may not have taken down all the ships I wanted to in this point, but at the very least I was able to get in here and take 2 down. And I was hoping that this would serve as an example for my allied battleship to, maybe even come in and help support me while I'm here. No. Allied battleship decides to let me go in alone, die, and then now the allied battleship, who we can see here in the old Fuso, is attempting to push the point solo. Yeah. So, learning from our mistakes here. So, I mean, we do, at least I see this very often in battle. It does seem to happen at the higher tiers. It is very, very frustrating. because it's domination. You have to get in to cap the points, and you should be tailoring your strategy to complement the capture of those points. It just makes sense to me anyway. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm only one ship, and I mean, we pointed it out throughout the video here. I mean, I didn't do everything perfectly, right? There were definitely mistakes that I made, and definitely areas for me to improve upon. But that pales in comparison to the way the team played this one. It is very, very frustrating. But anyway, battle is over. It was a defeat. At the very least, you know, though, it serves as a good visual example of just how tenuous, when you split up your forces like that, like at the beginning of the battle, how tenuous that is, and how much it really relies on those individual groups, you know, taking charge, taking the lead, and making sure that they cap and defend their point, and then move to the next point. So critical, because even though you might split your forces like we did with A and C, you know, it's still a toss-up. Which point are we actually going to be able to take? Because we know the enemy's going to be at one of those points. So, you know, once we determine where the enemy isn't, then we want to take that point and move to the next one, relieve the pressure on the allies who are attempting to defend off the enemies from that third point that the enemies have showed up in force. Anyway, a lot easier said than done, I suppose, but frustrating as all hell when it happens. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys were able to take something out of this video, at the very least, right? Just trying to keep an eye on that mini-map, making sure that you're making the right plays and the right decisions, given, you know, the dispersion of your team and the enemy team. Anyway, folks, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day. You know, as always, leave any comments you have for me in the video comments section below. I love reading those and responding back to them. Remember to hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Remember to hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And again, in case you forgot, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.